Okay. Oh, why am I nervous? What the hell? Okay. Hi. My name is Kevin. Um, hey, so I guess first question, have you read and understood the full disclaimer below? Yes. 60% chance that there's going to be a type that I won't like, apparently, but I'm actually kind of hoping that happens because I live for those mind-blown moments. So it does say liability. We are not doctors or medical professionals, and that you're not responsible for loss of life for taking your advice. I'm hoping that doesn't come to any sort of reality, because yeah, I don't want to lose my life over a personality test. Anyway, it's funny because you guys are sitting right here, so it's like I'm talking to you, but yeah. That was a really cool video, by the way, that you guys did in your car. It made you seem like real people, not robots or anything, so that was pretty funny. Okay, yeah, so I agree to the disclaimer. What's your average day, week look like? I normally wake up around 7. That's the time I should wake up to get to work on time. But I routinely wake up at 7:30 or sometimes 8, and I get to work late because my workplace doesn't really care that much if I'm late. I mean, my boss says he cares because it looks bad for the team and he needs to rely on me and stuff, but there's not any actual consequences. It's quite a soft workplace. And so the challenge for me is, even though there's no real consequence to being late, getting to work on time is like an objectively good thing. So I'm trying to, you know, bust my ass to get here on time every day, but it's hard. It's hard to change natural laziness, isn't it? So yeah, that's my wake up time. School, no, I don't go to school anymore. I go to work. Yeah, so my workplace is a Christian media production company, and we produce magazines and TV shows and stuff like that. My role here is production assistant, so I can do things like edit, like cutting together videos, like the cooking show that we make. We have a women's talk show, and the cooking show goes into that talk show. I do some camera work. I also actually do the live switching when we're recording the TV show, and we have like 6 cameras. I used to be just one of the camera operators, but now I'm on the switchboard, switching between the different cameras, seeing, like trying to follow the flow of the conversation. Yeah, so that's pretty cool that I'm doing something a bit higher level. Friends. So, yeah, I have friends. So, I have school friends, and so I live in Sydney, right? And we have a Bible Belt in Sydney, and that's where I grew up. Where it's quite a bubble, and me and all my friends kind of realized that when we left school, that it was quite a sheltered bubble that we lived in. You know, a bit in the well-off suburban areas. So I don't know why I said that. So I also have church friends who I've known since I was, you know, 9, 8. Yeah, they're my most loyal friends, just because I saw them literally every week, regardless of what school I went to or anything. But they're all starting to go to different places. You know, life happens, people grow up and move. That's kind of scary because I don't know what I'm going to do when they leave. But, you know, bring it on. Yeah, I seem to I know a lot of people, but there's really only a handful that I'm going to be able to rely on all the time to, like, you know, trust to call at 3 a.m. in the morning or something like that. I don't normally call people at 3 a.m. in the morning. Actually, I don't think I ever have. The thought of that is kind of, I don't know, trying to ask for help at that time of day. Family drama. Yeah, okay, so there's a lot of family drama. But in the average week, there's not much of it these days. But past few years and, you know, childhood, there's, of course, lots of family drama. What family is perfect? So, yeah, I have an older sister. She's like 29. I'm 23. So, about when she was a teenager and I was 7, like, my mum had undiagnosed diabetes, and so she would, you know, her personality, her mood would change very quickly. Like, she'd become this crazy yelling monster kind of thing. And my dad didn't know what to do. Like, he was very like weak when confronted with that. Like, he was very passive, and so she would just be shouting at all of us, and my sister couldn't really take it, so she kind of took any excuse she could to run away from home and like hang out with friends, but she ended up getting the wrong crowd, and so she ended up coping with it by, you know, drinking and drugs and all that kind of stuff. But the family dramas all kind of come from, you know, our family kind of avoids talking about stuff until it's too late, and when things do happen, they just sort of brush it under the rug. My mum had like a really traumatic childhood. You know, my mum's mum committed suicide when my mum was only 14, and it caused my mum's sister, my auntie, to develop paranoid schizophrenia. And just as an example of avoidance, right? Like, my auntie ran away from her carer's home, like last year sometime, the one with schizophrenia. And normally she comes back, but this time she hasn't come back. So we actually don't know where my auntie is. But my parents don't talk about it ever. Like, obviously it's very painful for them to talk about, but like, it's like it's not even happened. So yeah, that tendency to avoid things, it sort of makes the dramas stack up a lot. And then yeah, a couple of years ago, my sister got into a really bad accident. Like, she fell through a hole in a floor in an abandoned warehouse that my sister and her fiance and their friends were exploring. My sister was drinking at a party beforehand, and her friends were meant to pick her up and take her home, but they thought it was a great idea to go to an abandoned warehouse. So she ended up breaking like this bone here, which is apparently very painful and hard to break, and like she smashed her teeth and stuff. And that put a lot of pressure on us because we had to be there. Like, my family, like, she moved back in with us, and so it was added pressure for my parents. My parents were like 59 and 63 at the time, and so it really put pressure on their health. They were still working, and so all of a sudden they just decided to retire, sell our childhood home, and like retire up north into like a beach town somewhere. And I had to quickly like find a place to live all of a sudden when I was 21 or 22. So it was kind of crazy trying to grow up that quickly. It was a bit traumatic, but yeah, my sister's now with her fiance. They're gonna get married again. They used to be married, they broke up, now they're back together. So lots of family drama. Yeah, there's not much drama now, except that like we have a group text message that we're always talking to each other on, and when me and my sister go up north to visit my parents for holidays, like it's fun, we have a good time. But yeah, lots of family drama. Back when my mum was going through those crazy mood swings and stuff, like I would see the issue that's going on in their heads, like very clearly, even when I was like 7 or 8, and I would want to try and stop it as much as possible, stop the conflict, and try to explain to my dad, for instance, that just say sorry to mum and she'll be okay. But he couldn't humble himself enough to do that because she's being irrational, so he doesn't need to admit fault or, you know, whatever. He kept trying to logically justify anything, and so it would just make my mum even worse, and it's like he just kept bringing it upon himself. Yeah, it was really annoying, to say the least. Yeah. It was so strange that I felt kind of responsible for my parents' conflict. I guess it's not strange. Like, I wanted to fix it real bad because it was not pleasant. I mean, maybe that's where my desire to resolve conflict and like improve communication between people, maybe that's where it came from. Yeah, so what's my average day week like regarding interests? I go through like periods of a few months at a time where I'm obsessed with one topic and I just get completely absorbed into it, and like it's like my entire being just becomes that area of interest, and then I move on to something else. It's like I keep going through these metamorphoses, like a phoenix that just burns brightly in one topic and then dies and then gets reborn in like another topic or something like that. What's funny is that personality stuff has sort of been one of the few like consistent threads. Like I've had multiple times of being into personality stuff. Back in high school, everyone just did the test as a bit of a fun thing. And back then I was like, maybe there seems like something to this. Everyone was just using that website, 16 Personalities, with like the nice colors and the little cartoon characters. It's all very fun, it's all very positive. Nothing wrong with anyone. And then it came up again a couple of years after that, and my mind got blown when I realized that there's cognitive functions underneath it all. It seems so novice level when I look back now. Cognitive functions, yeah. I realized that the labels INFP, ESTJ didn't mean anything. It's just a decoder ring for the function stacks underneath. So that was interesting. I ended up being able to apply that like in real situations and actually resolve people's conflict, or at least I'd like point out to people where they could be going wrong. Like I'm pretty sure like I've done it lots of times. I think at least some of those times it might have been actually correct information. The rest of the time could have just been, you know, astrology reading. You know, it was making me feel good about myself, that's for sure. I felt like I had some sort of purpose, or it was my mission to help everyone around me understand themselves. Yeah, so the next time my mind was blown by the personality stuff was, of course, when I found you guys. That was like, I feel like this is the end game kind of my exploration in personality stuff. Like this is the end game. This is where it's sort of, it feels like this is where it's been leading to. Like where else could it have gone? Of course, someone has to go through the hard work of proving this stuff. So I'm glad it didn't have to be, well, I mean, I'm glad you guys started it because I definitely wouldn't have started it. Yeah. Man, I can still see your faces just smugly, well, not even smugly, just smiling at me, but it's kind of creepy. I'm just going to scroll up. Okay, back to the questions. Yeah, so I know some other interests, like if you ask any of my friends, they're like annoyed by how obsessed I get with things like lucid dreaming. Back when Inception came out, that was like when the trailers were coming out for Inception and people still didn't really know what it was. I could sort of feel the potential of what I was about to witness in that movie. It was, yeah, like the trailers were so kind of abstract at first, the teaser trailers. It was so abstract that my mind just ran with it and like, you know, filled in all the blanks and was like, this is going to be the most crazy experience. It's like all those dreams I've had. And yeah, it turned out to be pretty mind-blowing, not just on a technical or storytelling level, but, you know, in the movie when they go down those layers and they go down to limbo, which is the raw, that like they say in the movie, raw, infinite, subconscious, you know, where you can, it's literally just an infinite canvas of your mind. And it's like, that's, it, oh man, it was like, it struck me on such a deep level for some reason. And I was so into it, and I, you know, practiced lucid dreaming. I joined all those forums to learn how to do it. And yeah, I would practice looking at my hand and counting my fingers throughout the day, squeezing my nose and trying to breathe through it. And it was crazy because when it happens in a dream, when I squeeze my nose out of habit and try to breathe, and I'm able to breathe through my nose in a dream, it's like now I realize I'm standing somewhere that doesn't exist. And that was the craziest feeling. And the fact that I got there through practice was pretty interesting too. Like, when it comes to sport and exercise and stuff, like, I hated doing that. I knew that if I practiced at different sports or physical activities, that I would get better, but I never could bring myself to do it. It's hard. I guess now I know that that's one of my biases, I guess. Not biases, like natural weaknesses, natural demons maybe. But, and if I'm going to grow, I have to push through that. But yeah, so naturally I was able to put in the reps when it comes to things like lucid dreaming, being able to explore my mind, like explore a place that doesn't exist. It's completely abstract, and yet it's real because you're experiencing it with every, you know, notion of what your five senses are. And I love just having a lucid dream every now and then and like pausing time. Like, actually I make it rain first and then I pause time and I just look at all the frozen raindrops in the air. It's so good. Because it's like when I would watch movies like Smallville and, you know, Superman would run around and everything would be slowed down or frozen in time, I love to just see how the special effects people did that, because special effects artists make things happen that just aren't real. Like, it's completely, you know, painting with your imagination. And so I got into visual effects. That's another one of my interests, using Adobe After Effects to make animations or visual effects. So that's another one of my interests. Video games, obviously another interest of many people. But I loved the storytelling, like the Halo series. I got really deep into the history and the lore of the Halo universe, because it makes it that much more epic and just completely escaping into a different world. Like, I'm able to escape really well. It was probably a coping mechanism. Yeah, video games, what else? I don't know, I like, yeah, basically lots of visual things. Like, I realized when I was 19 or something that I had some form of synesthesia. Like, when I would listen to music, while I didn't see colors in my actual vision, I could see it very clearly in my mind's eye. Like, I could see the music, basically, and it wouldn't take much effort for me at all to just, you know, sit there with the headphones in and just be taken to a completely different world. Like, I see the music video play out in my head, and it's like I'm just this little person, like, floating around in this, like, universe that's literally the song. Like, the song makes its own universe in my head, and I'm just subject to the crazy colors and movements. And the good songs, the really good songs that I like, they take me on a journey and, like, actually have a story play out in my head so vividly, and to the point where, like, I can easily bring myself to tears because of how moved I am by the song and what I see in my head. And I've always wanted to bring that to life and show people what I see in my head so that they could be moved as well, but I can never bring myself to start because it's such a daunting task. Making an entire music video by yourself. So it's like I spent years trying to figure out how can I possibly break it down. I don't know how to break things down like that. I just rely on bursts of energy and do it all at once. But these things aren't able to be done all at once. So how the hell do I do it? And so I keep coming up with ideas where I can get a team together to bring my vision to life. But then it's immediately knocked back by thoughts of like, why would anyone want to get on board with your idea? It's just in your head, and when it comes out in reality, it's probably not even going to be moving as much as it is in your head. Like, there are a million reasons not to do it, but I don't care, because like recently I've just been trying to forge ahead anyway, trying to bring a creative team together to make a really good piece of art, but not art for the sake of art. I always want my art to be uplifting to people. I get that there's a place for art that, you know, brings you down, like that doesn't have like a salvation moment at the end of it. I get that a lot of people like that, but I hate it because I want art to be useful. It doesn't have to be practically useful, but I want it to be emotionally useful. I want it to bring emotional catharsis. I want it to actually make a difference. Like, if art doesn't make a difference in someone, it's, I find it rather pointless. But if it's going to make a difference, I want it to be a good difference. Why would you want to bring people down? I don't know. So yeah, like I've wanted to make music videos for ages, but I just can't get started. So instead I just selfishly keep it all to myself up in here. And then it occurred to me last year that if I die, all those moving images are gone. Like all those stories that I could tell, they're gone. And so it's funny that it matches up with what you guys were saying in one of your Q&As about your backgrounds. You guys realized that if you guys died, it'd be screwed unless you got the information out there beforehand. Yeah, and so if we applied that to everyone on Earth, if everyone on Earth shared what they had in their heads, like what they can help humanity with, if everyone did that, imagine how much further along we could get so quickly. Yeah, that'd be crazy. Yeah, so yeah, that's a big passion of mine, like art and stuff. But useful art, that is the point. Okay, next question, I guess. Whoops. What would your ideal... Oops, no. What's the biggest challenge in your life right now? I'm just going to have a drink. I'm getting worked up. It's kind of weird that you're watching me do nothing. I put off this video for so long, and I saw the wait time go up from like 3 to 4 days to 5 to 6 weeks. Right now it's at 7 weeks, so far out. I don't think your price increase is doing much, but yeah, you guys just provide a service that's too valuable. I mean, what can I say? So, what is the biggest challenge in your life right now? Wait, okay, so I want to talk about another interest first. Another Christopher Nolan movie, after Inception. He made the Batman movies, which I don't care about, but then he made Interstellar, and far out, that was like... Inception went down as far as it could go into the mind, and Interstellar just went out as far as it could have gone in reality. Like, if you haven't seen it, you might want to like skip, I don't know, the next minute, but like the fact that he goes out, not past our solar system, not past our galaxy, but freaking into the 5th dimension, he just goes completely out there. And the story implies that there are humans that are in the future that have transcended space and time because they've evolved so much, and they're helping him like navigate this crazy tesseract, and it just goes so far out there. Like, I love that movie because where else could it have gone? Like, he just took it to the extreme. the fact that I saw it in IMAX as well, the IMAX theater, it's like I kept telling all my friends that IMAX was made for that movie, not the other way around. Like Interstellar just used every single facet of IMAX to its fullest potential. Like when the rocket's blasting off, it uses like a perfect combination of the subwoofers and like all those subsonic frequencies to make the theater rumble as if it's actually taking off in front of you, and it really felt like that. It was just insane. Okay. The point here is to get you talking about what you really care about. Okay, so all those things I probably just talked about were all the interests I have that are kind of low stakes, like they're all kind of at arm's length. But oh geez, okay, so we're getting personal now. So what is the biggest challenge in my life right now? Oh boy. So I'm 23 and I've gone to the same church my whole life. Same Christian church, and it's a Seventh-day Adventist church. So we go to church on Saturday. And we have a whole bunch of doctrinal differences between us and other Protestant denominations. A lot of people think we're a cult. I don't really know where that line is, but I want to say that we're not a cult because we don't officially, we don't disown family members who leave Seventh-day Adventism. Like, we're still like normal Protestants that go out and, you know, talk to normal people. But yeah, because people know us by, you know, they call us the people of the book, because we like to think that we have the most doctrinally sound interpretation of the Bible, and that, like, from what I understand, it's more of like it's almost like the character of God that we have is a lot more consistent internally than, you know, other denominations. Like, a lot of people get put off Christianity because they can't believe in a God that would condemn people to an eternally burning hell. And yeah, we agree. As in, like, Adventists believe that hell doesn't exist. It's just a single event at the end of time that, you know, is a once-off event, the destruction of people who don't want to be with God. Because heaven is only going to be good for people who want to be with God. And so people who don't want to be with God, they're not going to want to live in a universe that has God in it. And, you know, according to the Bible, the only universe without God in it is death, as in, like, ceasing to exist. So that's all hell is, as in, like, that's all hell does. It's just the destruction of people who don't want to live in a universe with God. So that's an example of one of the things we believe about the character of God. Like, he's not going to be burning people forever just because they didn't turn to him or because they didn't know about him. Yeah, I don't know, I want to think that if I grew up in another denomination, I would have realized their perception of God. Like, I wouldn't have wanted to believe in their version of God. The version of God that I've been exposed to is a good one. And he's one that's going to be able to survive any questions I throw at him. So I know that if he is who he says he is, I can question him all I want. I can adopt other worldviews all I want, and he's going to be able to break through all that if he's legit. Yeah, so the point I was making about Adventists was because we have all these theological beliefs that are quite, like, we stick by them. We don't sort of let them get flowy just because we want to cooperate with other denominations. Other denominations see us as closed off, and yeah, we are. Like, Adventists in general kind of close themselves off to other Christians, which sucks, because other Christians, like, it's not Adventists that have all the truth. Like, it's other denominations as well. You know, Adventists might call themselves the brain but you know, Pentecostals, evangelicals have the heart because they can actually serve the community and reach them in real, tangible ways. The biggest challenge in my life right now is that that bubble has been burst because my particular congregation that I attend, that my parents attended, they're even more conservative. So Adventists in general are a little bit conservative, but then my church is quite on the conservative end of that, and we're very closed off. We wouldn't cooperate even with other churches in our city. And seeing other people from churches, like other people from other churches recently, has opened my eyes to just how cloistered my congregation has been. So the challenge is trying to figure out, at the same time as trying to figure out even if God's existing at all, or what benefit Christianity has over any other worldview. Right now I'm comparing it with, just secular humanism, knowing that, I can see that all the benefits that Christianity used to offer society, it's not exclusive to Christianity anymore. There are heaps of groups, like, if you got rid of Christianity, basically, the community wouldn't really be affected that much. Like, say what you want about morality, but humanism does try to, they have most of the same morals. The only morals they don't have that Christianity does are the ones that relate to God. Although I haven't seen another worldview that says to love your enemies, which is what Jesus did. Maybe there is one. Maybe Buddhism teaches that. I don't know. But yeah, like until I find one that, can subvert that teaching and can empower people to love their enemies, I'm still going to give Christianity a chance. My biggest challenge right now also, oh man, I have a lot of biggest challenges. It's just, I've always questioned what am I meant to do with my life. Boring question, right? Back in high school when everyone was choosing their degrees, when everyone was choosing what university they wanted to go to, or even what subjects they wanted to do in the final year of high school, I could never make those decisions. Yep, I'm always paralyzed with analysis paralysis, committing to decisions, even ones that aren't even that meaningful. Like at the school canteen, what snack do I buy? Because yesterday I bought this snack, but today, how am I gonna feel after I eat the snack? Am I gonna be thirsty? Or do I want something sweet because I had something salty before? Like, just, my friends would laugh at the fact that I couldn't even make those kind of decisions. So, yeah, maybe I'm a decider. Yeah, my, man, completely lost my train of thought, so, biggest challenge. Yeah, so I can't figure out whether, because as well as being exposed to other churches, I realized that there's a right way to do church, because Christian churches aren't even doing it right. They're still using Catholic methods and Catholic structures, Catholic constructs. Like having programs all the time, having a morning service instead of 11 a.m. mass, it's 11 a.m. sermon. It's like, it's no different. So I see churches that actually are completely just community oriented, house churches and things like that. The way the church was in the book of Acts, like the way Jesus intended it to be when he set it up. Yeah, so I see churches like that, and I'm desperate to change the church that I grew up in, because I see so many people being hurt by our church because they're so perfectionistic and they're so closed off with their struggles to one another. And, because I've had one foot out of my church for a few months now, it brings out the worst in people. They start to lose, they start to freak out because they're losing another one, and it's like someone who's grown up with them for their whole life. And so they get scared because, oh crap, maybe we're doing something wrong, but they don't really go anywhere with that line of questioning. They just say that they're disappointed in me, even though I wasn't even technically leaving Christianity. I was just going to another church. And it just brought out the worst in them. And yeah, I get that it comes from a place of worry and concern, because to those people, my salvation is at stake. Yeah, I want to change my church because of how, like, they're all great people, but they're stuck in this culture of perfectionism. And it hurts people. It doesn't even help them grow spiritually themselves. So I don't know whether to leave, go to a more supportive church, or to stay and change them. But that's kind of secondary to the bigger problem of what am I going to do with my life as a whole. I don't really know what people do with their lives. I look at what my dad did, and he just did payroll for his whole life in the same company. He's some sort of ISTJ or something, you know, in the 16 personalities one. My mum, she did the same thing. She just stuck to the same job, and she just was this happy, playful person every day. And that was her mission, to just bring smiles to people's faces. But as to what I want to do with my life, I don't know. I look at my gifts. I look at the fact that I can bring out really good metaphors very quickly, very powerful metaphors that kind of help people understand things very easily, like emotional metaphors as well. And the fact that I can just see things in my mind really quickly and very viscerally. Like, the reason I haven't just given up Christianity is because the reason I think that my life mission, you know, could possibly be coming from God is because, like, I've received visions. Oh no, he's crazy. So yeah, like my Pentecostal friend, not Adventist. Adventists don't associate with those dirty Pentecostals, except me, because he was my friend from school. He prayed over me because I was telling him I don't know. Wow, my forehead's greasy. Like, I was telling him I feel like I'm wearing a mask around everyone, and he's like, why are you afraid of showing people who you really are? And I said, well, because I don't think they're gonna like who I am. You know, if I could write a list of all the good and bad things about me, the only thing on the good list would be that I'm good at sleeping, and the bad list is just full. And then he's like, dude, do you know what God thinks of you? And I said, I know what the Bible thinks God thinks of me. Well, I know what the Bible says about what God thinks of me. I don't know what he thinks of me personally. And he's like, then let's ask him. And I was like, okay. And so he put his hand on my shoulder. He prayed that God would show me what he thinks of me and what he created me to be and who I am, my identity in God. And so he said amen, and I had my eyes closed for a second, and I started getting this image of this grassy green hill and clouds. So I said that to him, and he's like, oh, then let's ask God for more. So we prayed again, and then I got a very clear image of this grassy green hill and this giant statue, like a stone pillar, reaching up from the bottom, like from the hill into the clouds. And it was this stone statue that I could feel the weight of it, and it was permanently etched, like carved, pointing to heaven. And it's like that statue was me, but I wasn't there yet. I was at the bottom of this hill, and I hadn't made the journey up to the top of the hill. I hadn't accepted that for me. And with all that came, you know, this trembling and like this crazy just feeling of mind explosion. And my friend was like, dude, that's the presence of God. You've had a God moment. And I'm like, oh, crazy. So that was 2 years ago. And then I got more visions after that. That didn't even involve my friend. It was just after a sermon at church once, they were talking about forgiveness and sin or something like that. My church had never done a sermon about really praying to God during the sermon to forgive you. But this church did, this Anglican church. I think you guys call it Episcopalian. We call it Anglican. So yeah, this Anglican church, they were doing a forgiveness sermon, and they were like, when you walk out those doors, you're going to be right with God. And so I walked out, and it was all good. And when I drove home, I was sitting in my car, and I got this crazy, like, vivid image of just me kneeling in front of this giant wall of glory that just like stretched out left and right, and like infinitely high and infinitely deep. And on either side of me was just these bottomless black pits, and I was on this narrow path. And behind me was, like, you know, the world that was covered in darkness or something. And then in front of me, I stood up and I walked into that light, and I was instantly covered in like these white robes of righteousness, and I had a crown, and I was running up these stairs, and like I'm just running ahead, and I fall at the feet of Jesus, who's sitting on the throne, and he picks me up and he just embraces me, and I hear a voice saying, "You are my son." And this particular vision has been expanded over the past few years, showing me like people stuck in these pods outside in the darkness of the world, and like I could see my pod there, kind of looking inside it, and like just all these flashing lights and images that the world tries to distract you with. The thing is, like, it's just like the pods from the Matrix movie. So, you know, subconscious brought that out. And I could see like this lion head that was sticking out of the ground, you know, sucking all the pods, people inside them, down into, you know, just destruction. It's just like the lion head from Aladdin, the cartoon, where they go out into the desert and they go in this giant mouth into like some cave. It looked just like that. It's just funny that I can piece together all the images from things I've seen. But the thing is, like, it's not just images, it's like intense meaning and emotion attached to every single thing in the vision. And I wasn't actually making it, it was just coming to me. But I'm reminded of what people say, how they describe being inspired when they, you know, create stuff, even like who aren't Christian or whatever. It just comes to them. It's like they're discovering it. It's not like they're making it. So how that fits in with the fact that I'm receiving specifically visions about the nature of God and humans, and I don't know. It just seems way too. It seems too subjectively powerful to just pass off as like a fabrication of my mind, because then when I tell other people, like it elicits the same response in them, like they start just like trembling because of the imagery that I'm describing. I mean, these people are Christians, but still, like, it's funny. So, the fact that all that happened means that I'm not going to just give up on God like that, because it seems like that he's, you know, speaking to me in a way that I've never heard of before. But yeah, so I don't know whether to, well, again, I'm not just going to give it up until God sort of disproves himself for me, or until he does prove himself. So my biggest challenge is holding that tension in my mind right now, as well as making other decisions. Like right now, I'm at my workplace, and where I work, it's actually, you know, it's the Adventist Media Center that's in Sydney. So I'm working for my church, and I thought that was going to be, like, it really put my spirituality to the test, because I wasn't going to be able to do this job unless I really believed in what I was doing. And so it's really exposed the fact that I don't even know who Jesus is. I don't have that relationship that people talk about when they talk about Jesus. I'm all good with, you know, God the Father, you know, and the Holy Spirit, but not Jesus. So my challenge is accepting the fact that I'm an apostate, because I'm not even, like, I'm not in a relationship with Jesus. But at the same time, working here, I don't actually like working here, because, I mean, for one, it's kind of a boring use of my skills, but that's because I'm an entitled millennial. but two, they don't even, like the Adventist Church in general doesn't actually, they're not supportive. And so why would I want to work for a place that doesn't support their own people? I don't know. Like, the challenge is the fact that I found you guys and I read through your mission page and the, you know, OPT 100, being a certified objective personality systems specialist, like, that sounds like an actual possibility that I could pursue. Like, it's been playing on my mind since I read about you guys for the first time 3 weeks ago. And the fact that it's a military style training, like, that's always appealed to me. I've always wanted to join the military just to develop discipline, but I never did because it's bloody scary. And you know, you have to do physical stuff, which I've never been that good at or confident at, but I'm actually holding, you know, as a possibility, applying to go to you guys and be part of this, because this personality stuff, this objective personality, it is a science, and it will last, you know, beyond us. It's bigger than us, and it's an actual mission that seems like, it seems like the only kind of choice I have right now, as in the only mission that's open to me. I have other missions, like I could just keep on churning out random jobs here in Sydney where I grew up, and then, you know, maybe do the side hustle of making my art come to life. But yeah, I don't know, making art, what if it doesn't come out that well? Maybe it's just an excuse I'm making so I don't have to do it in the end, but I don't know, have I gotten deep enough? Have I gotten emotional enough? I mean, what could I talk about that could make me cry? I guess one thing that was really traumatic when I first started at this job, like a week into the job, so like, I told my boss during my interview that, well, he asked me, you know, do you have any commitments during the week that would disrupt your time? And I said, yeah, on Tuesdays I have a Bible study at 4:30. It happens to be with people who work here as well. And he's like, okay, that's fine. So then the next week on Tuesday at 4:30, I went to the Bible study, and my boss was trying to call me. Well, my boss called someone else in my office asking where I was because he needed me to do something on the computer for him. And I wasn't there because I was at the Bible study I told him about. So then the next day he, you know, took me aside and he said, like, he told me off about it. Obviously, he's like, you know, it might have been flexible at your old job, but at this job, we're strict with our time, and I have to know I can rely on you and trust you. You know, in a year's time, maybe when you've earned some respect, then you can have flexible times. Of course, like, everything he was saying was fine, but when he was saying it to me, it felt like he was just stabbing me over and over again. The fact that he was telling me off, you know, second week on the job. I'd never been told off at my previous job, which wasn't to do with the church. It was other stuff. So, like, and I knew that I didn't have any reason to feel hurt by what he said, and so that was just I used that as ammunition against myself, and I turned in my anger. Like, I had anger because of that, and I turned it inwards, and then I started stabbing myself too, because I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, why are you so hurt about this? Stop it. Like, it was so stupid. And that gave me depression, because on top of that, I had all this other stuff in the family going on, and I had the moving out, which was sudden, and, you know, I took on too many responsibilities at church, and it was, what a terrible year that was last year. So, yeah, it was really, really painful, him telling me off. What does my ideal look like? Hang on. What does my ideal life look like in 10 years from now? What would my ideal life look like in 10 years from now? So if I'm 33 in 10 years, 33 is about the age when people start, like, they're already kind of well up the hill of their main career mountain. I don't know, like, they're already well on their way with momentum doing their big thing, if they're going to do a big thing. And if they're not doing a big thing, then they may be on their third or fourth job looking for their big thing. Where am I going to be? What would my ideal life look like? Well, I want to be on mission. For one, I want to be on some sort of mission that aligns with my values, where I can use my creative ability to communicate and help people in tangible ways. I've had interest in psychology before, but looking at the things that they teach, it's very closed off. I don't think closed off. I don't like adhering to the standards. Like I talk about, it's funny, I talk about personality stuff to my psychologist friends who've, you know, studied psychology, and some of them go, it's rubbish, it's pseudoscience, you know, it's all about the big five. And they're totally right. So the fact that this objective stuff is happening means that, like, I don't know, the psychology aspect of it is fascinating, but then it blends in with neuroscience and it blends in with everyday people, because neuroscience and psychology aren't exactly, you know, household topics that everyone can talk about, but personality, everyone can talk about that, because that's what people interact with on a daily basis. They interact with personalities. So it's almost like personality study is the byproduct of those deeper areas. I could never devote myself to those deeper areas because they just didn't seem to do anything that really fired my neurons, but this does. So my ideal life in 10 years, I want it to be something to do with this. Like, even though I only found out about you guys 3 weeks ago, oh, damn it. I hope this isn't another fleeting obsession, but man, if this doesn't turn out to be my mission, I guess I'm back to square one. But no, like, I'm still seriously considering applying for for your program. 2 to 5 years of intense bias training, like, far out. I'd have to really think about that until it's good for me to make a decision on. But that'd be so cool. Like, to be part of something from such an early stage and to contribute to what I see as a world-changing thing. Like you said, 100 people, people in China 100 years from now would be affected if this is, if this turns out to be fully objective. It's funny that this has just come at this time of my life. If it came last year, I wouldn't have been in any position to even think about it. If it came 2 years ago, even if it came at the end of high school, I would never have thought about moving to Portland. But man, I'm very well aware of my my generation's tendency to just be entitled. It happened with my current job. I've just passed the 1 year mark, but it took so many times of, like, I desperately wanted to leave because I didn't like being around my boss after he told me off, and the fact that this workplace was very complacent about everything, and the fact that they weren't creative, they weren't open to new ideas. I'm just doing the same old stuff. But everyone who's older than me recommended to me that I stay in this job and I stick to it, and then I'll become invested in it just by default, and I'll make it my own. I'll get ownership over it, and I'll be able to change and contribute in ways that I want to later on. and that's only just happened. Like, I feel kind of like I've committed to this job so many times after wanting to leave that now I want to, I've accepted this job, so now I can work on other stuff like building discipline of getting to work on time and really trying to push for change rather than just dropping everything and leaving to a different job and then doing the same thing to that job in another 6 months or whatever. But it's still kind of, I need to build my skill set, so I don't know if I'm meant to just drop everything at this job now and go work in a retail job and develop people skills. I've never done that before, so yeah, my ideal life in 10 years would look like I've solved the biggest challenge in my life right now, and I have a purpose and I have a mission. I know what I'm doing in this life, and it's using every single gift that I have to offer, and I've grown to use those skills effectively, and I'm helping other people to do exactly the same thing in their life, like giving them the tools to solve their problems themselves so that they can fulfill their mission in life and they can find their reason to live. Because last year during my depression, I was desperately looking for a reason to live and it wasn't really coming. So I hope that I'm able to be, I hope that in 10 years I'm helping people make better lives for themselves by, equipping them to live out their values. Well, no, because everyone is a unique person, right? So I want everyone's uniqueness to manifest itself fully, and for people to live to their full potential and go to any length that they need to contribute as much as they can, because so much holds them back. And so all the things that hold them back, I would want to show them that they can get rid of those and they can get out of the holes that they're in, and that they can make the same change in the world that they're going to make in their own life, to be able to make that change. Like, all the challenges that they overcome in their life, they then help other people to overcome those same challenges. Man, because of the crazy diversity we have of people, if everyone was able to make their unique version of humanity, it's like everyone has a unique weapon, and if everyone was able to get that weapon and sharpen it and polish it and get so skilled with it that they are the best at that weapon, but then putting that weapon, putting the training and all the plans or whatever to be able to use that weapon into the people, into the commons, into the society, then if everyone did that, everyone would have access to all the best weapons against all the things we need to solve in humanity. And as far as I can tell, spirituality goes, it complements that. It doesn't go on top, it doesn't subvert, it doesn't clash with, it's just two different things. So, yeah. I hope that makes sense. Oh crap, okay. I was meant to finish this in 50 minutes, but it's been nearly an hour, and my dentist appointment is in 15 minutes. Yeah. Man, I'm sweating. This was quite the ordeal talking about myself. Okay. I'm kind of keen to let this keep going for 30 more seconds because it's about an hour. It'll be exactly 1 hour. So I guess I can just show you around my office. There's some stuff. Oh, this isn't really contributing to your personality typing of me, but I don't know. When you're putting me in the doc, you can probably put a B next to my name because I have those tendencies, but I don't live that way. Okay, peace, bye.